What's going on, everybody? It's your boy C-Zar, and we are talking about OnyxCoin today, XCN USD. It is the 29th day of April, and here we are sitting at about $0.00561 with roughly 11 hours left in this day. Hit that like button. Thank you all. Let's get into it. Okay, let's get into the price action here. So, OnyxCoin's being a bit squirrely with us over the past couple of days. We had a nice little 80% move here. Ultimately closing at about 30% up, 29% on the dot, and we've seen a little bit of volatility since then. We look at this on the 1 hour time frame. Yes, I'm aware that there's a new Aster listing, Asterd, whatever. Nobody cares. Nobody cares, man. You shouldn't care about exchange listings too much, and especially you shouldn't care about them whenever it's perps. Perps just means they can short it without actually owning it. That doesn't help us at all. That doesn't help us at all. On the bright side, as far as Aster goes, I think that the index reading on that exchange will probably have a minimum impact on OnyxCoin. But nonetheless, we don't want, that was the biggest issue with Binance listing. The fact that they had the perps trading available for OnyxCoin, and then they never listed spot. They just literally kept it for the perps, and they came out at the highest to list it for the perps. They just gave you an opportunity to short. That's all it was. Which we don't need that. We need spot, right? If you want to do perps, that's cool, but give us spot as well. Until then, it's really not that impressive. And even still, exchange listings themselves are not the most impressive bullish thing. I know that this move came around the Upbit listing. I know that in itself was bullish, but it's not what I'm talking about there. Okay, that's the exception. 0056 is the price right now. Got a little bit excited on this pump here. Literally, I think I took a snapshot and posted on x.com that we were pumping quite literally at the high, and then it dumped down since then. I do believe that we're going to come back up. I personally do believe that we'll see higher prices. We have a little bit of a gap here. There's also a gap here at the top, so I do believe that we'll come up higher. Think about it this way, right? Imagine you're looking at OnyxCoin here, you were debating on buying more here, DCAing in, whatever, but you didn't know if it was going to go lower or go higher. And then you're up here and you're thinking, damn it, I knew I should have bought. I'm still not going to buy because I don't want to chase. What if it comes back down? But damn it, I knew I should have bought. Well, here's your second chance. Here's your second chance now. And I'm sure, not financial advice, not a financial advisor, my guess would be there is a lot more interest in buying here than there is in selling here. Because again, who is left to sell? If they didn't sell, I would say there's more incentive to buy. The people who have been holding all this time, I mean, guys, we look at this, right? The people that have been holding all this time for over a year, right? Because the people down here, I don't think they're going to sell either, right? If you've held through all this, and the people from before then, if you've been holding long enough, I don't think you're going to sell either, right? You're in it for the staking, you're in it for the long haul, just like me. If you wanted to sell, you've had plenty of boring, plenty of desperate, depressive price action to sell. So who's left to sell, right? The people who wanted to make a quick buck, who made a bet on this. By the way, I doubt that anybody wanted to make a quick buck with this thing. If they did, they had to have some patience. And I doubt there were too many people who bought down here and accumulated who were selling here. Clearly, there was some selling pressure here. But we look at this on the 1 hour time frame. And I mean, most of this volume, to a large degree, has been buying pressure. Even on the way down, the volume just continues to decrease, depleting entirely, and then whenever we move up, it's with volume. It's only with volume that we move up. It's not with volume that we move down. And even here, we're moving down without volume. So again, the question is, who's going to sell here that didn't sell here? Who's going to sell here that didn't sell here, right? Who's going to tap out now? I don't think too many people. But there probably are a lot of people who did sell, or who were going back and forth on buying some, who, it went up, it came back down. I kind of think this is a good time to DCA, but what if it goes lower? And then boom, now here's your second chance. To me, it feels like this would be a more appropriate area to expect buying pressure to come in, not selling pressure. And then, of course, we have our gaps here to the upside, the gap downs. I mean, just imagine that we've got this kind of formation, and then we come back up like this. I would think that we don't see a lower high. I would think that we would get this kind of W shape, but we'll see. Time will tell. We could get a lower high. I mean, if we'd have to get all the way up to 00622 to fill that gap. We could get a lower high. It could happen. High to low here. We tip 382 exactly, and now we're back down. That's not a good thing, actually. That's really not a good thing. That is kind of a bearish look. But as long as we're above this zero line, it's not problematic. If we can move back up here, if we can get above this high, that would be very, very bullish, you guys. So yesterday we had different parameters for the for what would be bullish, right? I think the first one was getting above 0059, if I'm not mistaken. And then we were looking at 00, was it 747 or something like that, I want to say. I think that was right. Now the parameter, at least the most exciting thing in my opinion to get above would be this high. So getting above 0066 effectively, that would be exciting because that would likely take us to 0073, 0053, and if we can get up there, and even get above there, that would be exciting. Because at that point, from a low to a high, I'll just delete this other fib here. If we can get up here, we're getting above the 236. If we can get above the 236, that's awesome. That would be awesome, right? If we get above the 236, likely from bouncing off the golden ratio zone, getting above the 236, likely what that would imply is that we're getting above this high and going up above 1 cent, if not even on our way to 2 cents overall. And that is the expectation, is that we're on our way to 2 cents overall. I will say that's a bit defiant, giving the current candlestick that we have right here. This is a pretty bearish candlestick, so that's a little bit of a defiant prediction in the face of death here, but we're used to that, man. We'll see. And that's all proven wrong, by the way. That's all proven wrong if we get lower lows. We're not that far away from getting lower lows. That is all proven wrong if we get lower lows. If it's like a slightly lower low and there's no volume and we bounce, okay, then I guess we got lower lows, but it's not a problem. But if we like break down, if volume picks up as we're moving down a little bit, it doesn't even have to pick up more than this. It just has to pick up relative to what we're seeing here. If it picks up as we're moving down, then I was wrong, and there's more selling pressure here than I anticipated, and that happens. Whoop-de-doo. Looking at the 1 hour RSI, it is bullish. We're in a neutral kind of phase, but it is bullish overall. Stochastics are oversold. The MACD doesn't look the best, to be fair, but the price action is kind of sideways and wonky, so we're not going to judge you too hard on that. Stochastics are oversold. We're kind of reset here. This could be bearish, but I'm taking the bullish stance on that, especially because here we are relative to this, like low here to this high here. We're right in that golden ratio pocket. Getting up here and then coming back down is not encouraging, though. I think I said that yesterday. But I will say we've already done it, right? We went from the golden ratio up here, golden ratio down. We're kind of showing more strength than I would typically expect you would in this kind of situation. But let's see how the day develops. If the day continues and we're down like 0.0528, at that point it is possible that we come down, to even below 0.05 and maybe even down to these lows again. It can absolutely happen. We look at this on the 4 hour, the RSI, to me, looks bullish. To me, it looks like we're at a point where you would expect it to bounce. To me, bouncing off the 50 is a very bullish thing, not a bearish thing. So that's good. Stochastics are reset. And the MACD, you've literally got lower lows in the stochastics with higher lows in the price. That is hidden bullish divergence. Same thing with the MACD. You have lower lows in the MACD with higher lows in the price. So it's hidden bullish divergence. We look at this here on the daily time frame. We still are right at prior areas of resistance here. Prior area of support right there. Semi-significant areas, not like crazy significant areas, but semi-significant areas nonetheless. Pretty significant relative to this, though. What about this low or high to low here? Nothing really to go off of. You tipped the golden ratio, wow. You literally tipped the golden ratio and then rejected all the way back down here. I would like it. I think a good goal, I know we were talking about getting above this high as a point of interest, but I think a good goal to have would be to close above 0.058. We closed below it yesterday, and I think 2 days closing below that in a row would look worse. So if we could get today to close above here and then just not close below this line, I would prefer that personally. But just kind of a little note there. It's not detrimental or anything, but it would be more ideal. Let's say that. Stochastics technically do look bearish here. The MACD does look bullish here. So a little bit of confliction in the charts. RSI looks bullish, obviously. Stochastics do look bearish, and then the MACD looks bullish. So it's really anybody's game at this point. We just got to make a decision. And I will definitely be excited and posting on X at the top again if we get above this high. If we can get above that high right there, we get above 0.0066, guys. That would be very, I think it'd be very bullish, because then we're getting above this point of resistance here, we're getting above these points of support, which is resistance now, and this point of resistance here, and then of course we're getting above our 382 on this relative fib here, showing productivity, constructiveness. It would look good. But I'm rambling at this point. I could go on and on. Oh, hit that like button, subscribe. Thank you all for being here. I don't think there's really anything else to go off of. And people might be saying, but look at that wick. Look how big that wick is. How are you bullish in the face of this? It's not the wick, guys, that I'm focused on. It's the fact that we were in a downtrend and now we're in a sideways trend. I don't trust these wicks. We've been here before. We've seen this before. We've seen it before, and it didn't. Look at all these wicks right here, right? What about these wicks, huh? You were moving sideways. You're kind of in a different range. Things behave differently, man. What about this wick here? That was kind of a bullish wick right there, right? What about this bearish wick? Imagine if you got max bearish right there, and then boom, you missed the pump. I'm just saying, we had a bearish wick right here, and that was at the low points. I don't trust it. And you can say it's because I'm biased all you want. Maybe it is. I don't think it is. I think I'd be like this for any coin that's been moving down for over a year and now has been moving sideways for about 6 months. And the only time you see volume come in happens to be to the upside, not to the downside. It just happens to be happening for the coin that I'm fond of myself. I can be wrong. We can move lower. That is a possibility, but right now the call is, and it has been for months now, for like half a year now, the call is, actually to be fair, back here, the call was to go like quite literally to this area. We actually were expecting that. Like we nailed that on the head. I wasn't expecting this afterwards. We were expecting, you know, some productivity to the upside, but since this point at least, and all throughout this stuff here, I don't know why that just happened. All throughout this stuff here, the call has been that we move up to about 1.9 to 2.3 cents, if not higher. If not higher. And we could move higher, man. Because if we're moving up here, that is such a significant break of this downward sloping trend line. It's such a significant break. It would be interesting to see. The differences, man, look at the differences. I'm trying to end this video and I just can't stop. But here, right, rejection down, lower lows both times. Here, you got above it for a second. Okay, it's a little bit different, but still, it's like a fake out. But higher lows. Here, you know, you rejected again right here, rejected down, but it was less significant than any of these other rejections. And still higher lows. Now we might close above it. Even with this wick selling off, we might close above this line, guys. We've closed above it before, it didn't mean anything, but we only closed 1 week above it. What happens if we close a few weeks above it? What happens if we keep moving sideways and we close weeks above it like this? This is different, man. This is not like a fake out at that point. This could still be a fake out, and yeah, we could plummet down. It could happen. I'm not calling for that. But something seems different about this one here. We'll see. And maybe I don't have this trend line drawn properly. Maybe it's supposed to be drawn, like this, and in which case it's directly finding resistance. But I don't know what we spent. We spent a year moving down, and then this is the one that matters. I think we're cherry picking at that point. But to be fair, look at that. I mean, that is actually pretty well in line with itself. That worked out pretty well. I don't like these diagonal trend lines anyways. I think that they're good for you identifying, you know, the channel, the trajectory that you're seeing, but really the levels that matter the most are the horizontal ones. On a closing basis here, that level matters a lot. On a closing basis here, this level matters a lot. I mean, you can see it right there, support, resistance, resistance. On a closing basis here, this level matters a lot. You know, these are your levels that matter right here. We found resistance right at the close there. So getting above these levels, I mean, they unlock that next step higher. And I would say, because we've already interacted with this level, if we get above here, the likelihood that we get above this level, it's very likely. At that point, I mean, 2 cents becomes a real probability. And that's the call. Ultimately, that's the call. It's been the call for months now, is that we will see a move that takes us up to 2 cents. A move that is bigger than this move. We didn't make that call originally back here, but we started catching wind of that over the past like couple months now, and that's been the call, is that we'll see a move that is bigger than this, effectively. Bigger than this even, right? Not bigger than this, but bigger than what we've seen in quite some time. It should be fast. This could be the rumblings, the beginnings of this very bullish move to come. So I'm done with that, my friends. I hope you had a good day. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, hit the like button. If you didn't, just hit the like button anyways. Do me a favor. Finding support at prior resistance, just so bullish, man. The chart effectively is just structurally sound. I mean, how many altcoins, man, I keep trying to end the video, how many altcoins look like this? I'll tell you what the average altcoin looks like if it loads. The average altcoin looks like this, and it looks like it's getting ready to break out. You went from finding support to now you're dancing, you're grinding. It looks like you're going to break out to the downside. The average altcoin doesn't look as productive as this guy does. Directly finding support at your prior resistance, directly finding support from your low to high of this move at the golden ratio zone and holding support there, moving sideways. The average altcoin is not up from its low 737%. The average altcoin has not moved down for a year. They've only started moving down really since September. If you want to say since December of 2024, okay, we could get into that, maybe. December of 2024, January of 2025, it's pretty comparable in that sense. And since December, I would say OnyxCoin has been underperforming the average altcoin. But overall in the bull market, from the low here to the high here, the average altcoin is only up about 159%, where OnyxCoin is up 737%. And again, structurally speaking, we don't look like this. We don't look like this, and that we're about to break down. That's not what it looks like. It looks like here's a point, and we found support right at prior resistance, right at golden ratio. I don't know, man. Volume picking up as you're moving down. Volume dead as you're moving down. We're expecting the sky. Nothing less will do. I'll see you on the next one for real this time. Bye-bye.